Hi guys, it's Nancy. I wasn't going to make this video, but I'm having so much fun with it. I know you guys are going to ask questions. So I am making some keychains, and these are very easy to do. This one I made for little Leah, and there's actually a piece of that holographic dual-sided foil that I showed yesterday in there. That's the one with the little stars. And then, I don't know if the camera is going to pick it up, but it has that holographic foil in there. And then I added some glitter, and there's a little butterfly, and put a little clip on it. So this one's for Leah. This one is for a very special friend of mine. Her son is driving now, and she said that his favorite color is red. And obviously there is a J in his name, so we're going to send this to him. And all I did with this one is I added some alcohol ink. And then the letter is from my scrapbooking collection. It's one of those charm letters. It's metal. And then I just put a little gem in there to kind of cover up the circle. But I think that's pretty masculine looking, right? And so I started making one for myself. And I thought, well, let me film it and explain to you guys the process here, because it's not that hard if you have the stuff. So I am using, you can use regular resin, which is a two-part epoxy where you mix everything together and you let it set overnight. I am using the UV resin. This I think I picked up at Joann's. UV resin, you can also pick it up at Michael's. Usually it's in the jewelry section, okay? So UV resin cures with a UV light. And the UV light that I'm using is my stamp maker, my Image Pack stamp maker. But if you have a nail gel curing light, it will also work. This is a mold that I picked up from Hobby Lobby. It's a keychain mold. And so what I'm doing is pouring some of the resin into the mold. I swirled it around a little bit. You can also get these little silicone swirl, stir, stick things so the resin doesn't stick to it. And I put a little sand in there. It is actual real sand. And now I'm going to add some little baby shells. You got it. I'm making myself a little beach reminder keychain. Just remember, wherever the hole is going to be the top of your keychain. And these little baby shells are also from Creek Bank Creations. Generally used in scrapbooking or card making, but in this case, Nancy's going to be a little creative with it. And I just want to pull out like all little pretty shells and embed them into this, and then I will add a little bit more resin to top it off. Some are going to be face down, some are going to be face up, so that way, depending on which side of my keychain is the pretty side, because sometimes there's like an air bubble or something that gets in the way, so this won't really matter which is up and which is down. Just putting some of these little guys in there. Trying to grab small ones that aren't broken. But this is a fun little project if you're just starting with resin. I want to make some gifts. Ooh, that one's pretty. It's a real pretty shell. Put that one like this. Oh. Whoop. Now he's an upside down shell. All right, and then I do want to add a tiny bit more sand on the bottom here. Of course, you can add glitter. You can add alcohol ink. Just be careful. Some of the embeds that you might put in may slow down your curing process or your time. So just be careful of that. And I don't want a whole bunch of sand in here because I don't want it to like completely cover up the shells. I just want it in there for effect. And then I have an alcohol wipe because alcohol wipes clean up the resin very easily. And this resin will not set. It will not cure until you put a UV light on it. Okay. So now I'm going to add more of the resin. And you could do this in parts. Like you could cure this now and then go in and add another layer of resin and cure it. And you'll see I will top this off because it doesn't bevel out, and I want to make sure that I have a nice smooth top and bottom to my keychain. So I'll show you guys how I do that. And I'm just very carefully adding this in, and there is a little hole over here in the top corner. That's where our keychain goes. I don't want to fill over that hole, but I want to make sure that the resin does go behind there. So that's where these little push tools come in handy, because we can make sure that the resin is filled in back there, because if that doesn't fill in properly, now see, all my sand sank to the bottom. A little too heavy. And I'm just going to add a little bit more resin. There's a little air bubble there that I'm hoping will push out from the shell. Just so it's evenly flush with the top of the mold. Again, I don't want to overfill it because I will bevel it out. Now for air bubbles, you can spray it with alcohol. I have a little torch tool that I'm quickly just going to torch it and hopefully pop those air bubbles. Yep, there they go. You don't want to torch this too much or too close or too fast, because it will burn the resin, and that is not fun. Just want the air bubbles pop. Now I'm going to slide this into my little stamp maker. I'll bring that into view so you guys can see it. Always cap off your resin and keep it out of the way. You don't want it open and then being exposed. Now this little shell is kind of sticking up a little higher. Let me see if I can push him down. So hopefully he'll stay down in the process there. It's pretty big. Alright, we'll see. Oh, there's an air bubble. Let's try to pop that. Sometimes you can take a pin and pop it, because once this goes into the UV, it very quickly sets, and that's why I like this, because it's instant gratification for me. And again, you can use regular resin, and you just kind of have to let it sit for 24 hours. So I'm going to turn my little light on. You'll see a little blue light kind of flicker on. There we go. And again, if you have a nail, if you do your own gel nails and you have a nail light, that will also work. Okay, and I just have this on a piece of paper. I'm going to slide that in, and we're going to give that a few moments. I'm going to pause the video so you guys aren't hanging out while I'm waiting for this to dry. I don't really have a set time that I keep it on. I just kind of keep an eye on it. You know, if I see any kind of air bubbles starting to pop up, I'll try to pull it out and correct them, which is just by adding more resin or popping the bubble, but we'll see how this one goes. So we'll be back in a moment. Okay, guys, so I had it in for about, 2-3 minutes, and then I pulled it off the mold, and then I make sure, like, I look into the mold and make sure that it is nice and hard, and sometimes the bottom center doesn't always cure just because this is, you know, it's not translucent. So I flipped it over on this just piece of cardstock, and now I'm going to kind of finish it off. So you can see it already looks pretty cool. Nice and clear, and I don't really mind the bubbles because I think it adds to that kind of underwater look. And then you can see all my sand fell. So this will be the bottom. So what we're going to do is we want to kind of cap this off, or just kind of dome it over. So to do that, all I'm going to do is just take some more of the resin, and it will center itself, which is nice. Level itself, I should say. So I'm just going to take some more resin, and I'm going to really light coat of it. And again, I'm going to be careful that I don't go into my little hole there, but I just want to put a nice layer. I stay towards the middle, and then it will go to the edges, and it will sort of stop as long as you don't have too much. And then I'm going to take my silicone tool, and again, just kind of push and pull it very carefully to the edges. I don't want it to go over the edges. And even when I get over here to the little circle, I'm going to very carefully pull it around so it doesn't go into the circle, because I don't want that to clog. I might have too much resin here. So once I have everything kind of level, it looks domed over nicely, I'm going to put that back in. I want to make sure that there's no air bubbles. And again, this is the back, so I don't really have to worry about too much. That actually looks really good. I guess third time's the charm. And I'm going to carefully slide that back into the machine. And again, let that kind of cook for a minute or two. And then we're going to turn it over and do the same thing on the front. So I will be back in a moment. Okay, so it's been about 2 minutes. Again, okay, that's nice and shiny and cured, and it's beveled over very beautifully. It's smooth. Turn my light back off. Okay, look at that. Okay, so now we're going to do the front because we have this little shell poking up, and you can see it's kind of, the edges are a little rough. So we want to, again, do that same beveled look that we have on the back onto the front. My shell is actually sticking out the side. He was pressing against the mold. That's okay. I think it's so cute, though. All right, so we're going to repeat the step we just did. And you want to be on a flat, level surface. And I put the paper under there because you don't want to pick this up with your fingers, touch the edges, and then be moving it around. So the cardstock helps to kind of keep it level as I put it into the machine. Now, ideally, you should bring the machine to your project. So if you have one of those nail lamps, you can just bring it over. So we're going to do the same thing. Light coating here. Okay, we might need a little more, but let's push this around and see. And I just kind of pull from the middle and gently go to the side. And then turn my paper. That's already all level there. I don't need to push any of that. And these little silicone tools come in handy because they're easy to clean. Just a little bit of an alcohol wipe, and then I can reuse them. And they're nice and small. I was using popsicle sticks before, and they got sticky, and then they were too big, and I had to throw them out. Okay. That looks pretty good. And I'm really looking at the edges to make sure everything's very smooth on the edges. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Back in the oven we go. Okay, guys, so I am done curing everything, and I put it on keychain. And I think that came out pretty cool. What do you think? And finishing touches is if you would have any rough spots, which this one actually doesn't, you would just take a little nail file, a little sanding, sand those rough spots down. But overall, I am pretty happy with this. So hopefully you will try it out. I will, again, try to link everything for you guys. If you can't head to the store and find everything that you need. Lots of fun, really easy to do. And again, you don't need the machine or the UV. You can just buy regular resin. You mix it in a little cup, and then you would pour it in and then give it about 24 hours to set. Okay? If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, guys. Keep on stepping. Bye.